up, guys? I'm Aisha Thomas, your leadership and team development expert, and welcome to episode 3 of You Need Leadership Development. Why? Because team members typically don't quit the organization, they typically quit the leader, and that's why you need leadership development. Now, I hope you guys have been following each episode. If you haven't watched episode 1, go back. If you haven't watched episode 2, go back, because all of these are in line. And today what we're going to talk about is building a team. That is number 3 of this process. Episode 1, we gave you the overall snapshot. This time we're talking about how we really need to start considering how to apply the information we learned on episode 2, where we talked about leading ourselves, to now that we're great at leading ourselves, now we can start thinking about leading a team. Because if you don't have self-leadership, how can you lead a team? A lot of people do it anyway. They feel that they're effective. But again, it all ties back to that EQ, that emotional intelligence. Because if you're showing up ineffective as a leader, then you're going to be ineffective leading other people. So now that you're effective in that area, you've gotten your personal development, your leadership development out the way. Now let's talk about building a team. This is going to be extremely important. Now, you might be someone that is a solopreneur, and you might be like, this doesn't apply to me right now. I'm not even thinking about building a team. But again, we have to prepare for the future. What if that post goes viral? What if that thing that you create just really pops off? You're going to need a team of people that's going to really help you in marketing, in strategies, and promotion, and maybe even boxing up that product that you have to ship out or maintain that website. So building a team is going to come if you want to be a long-lasting company, a long-lasting business. So let's talk about that. Why is it important to really break this process out? Because a lot of times we'll put job ads out there. Hey, we have this position we want to fill, but we don't really understand the weeds of what it takes to lead a team. You can put the people in place, but you have to be an effective leader so you can drive and motivate them and support them, just like in self-leadership. So what we're going to talk about first is having people awareness. So we talked about having self-awareness, right? We talked about self-awareness in episode 2 and how we need to be self-aware of how we're showing up. But once we are aware of who we are, now we have to have people awareness and have an understanding of the people we're around. And it really ties into the same information as self-awareness for self. There are people who are going to be on your team that might show up a certain way. You might notice that person might have a strength or a blind spot. So you really have to be aware of what your team is doing, how effective they are. Pay attention to those things, because again, if you don't have the right people in the right spots, that can affect retention, that can affect client retention specifically. It can affect the morale of the team. So how much are you aware of your team, their strengths, their weaknesses, their blind spots? And again, it's the same type of awareness that you need for self. You need that also for people around you. So as a leader, you have to make time to have people awareness so you can make sure that you have the right team. And when you have the right team, you can ensure that you engage and you can support them effectively for production, retention, and really workplace culture to make sure that's effective as well. So now that we have people awareness, now we have to consider the gaps, right? You got to fill those gaps. You have to be able to know, okay, when I'm creating this ad, when I'm building this team, by having people awareness, by knowing who I am, now I can know how to pick the right people to fill in the gaps on my team. I know my strengths. I know my strengths specifically. So I know for me, I'm one of those results driven. I'm really analytical. I come up with the great processes. But my blind spot is really the interaction, the people interaction, meaning marketing and going out and talking to strangers. That gives me a bit of anxiety, right? Because I am an introvert. I might seem like an extrovert here. I know how to tap into it when necessary, but I would love someone that is skilled in that area. So I know that's a gap that I need to be filled. I need to have that area filled. So by having people awareness, I need to make sure that I'm bringing in the right people to fill in that kind of role. So by having people awareness, again, you know what gaps to fill, what areas to place people so you can tap into their strengths to really make that business flourish like you want it to. Now, the next area is that people emotional intelligence, right? People EI. we need to be able to also have emotional intelligence when it comes to people, because just like we're developing ourselves as leaders, making sure that we have a high EQ, we want to be able to build a team where we can make them aware of their EQ as well, because some people aren't aware of how they're showing up. They don't have self-awareness. They don't have self-regulation. And yes, that might affect the workspace where you might have to let people go or discipline or hold people accountable. But essentially, as leaders, we want to be able to groom and develop future leaders. Maybe you notice someone on your team has some great skills and you're like, oh man, I think this person has potential to be the executive lead in this area. Or maybe a team member that is going to be the team lead. So if you see that, there might be some things that you have learned as a leader that you want to be able to help them develop as well. So you need to have people EI as well. So you are paying attention to how they're showing up. Seeing, oh, is this person self-aware? Does this person have really good self-regulation skills? Is this person have good social skills? And these might be things that they're not even aware of. But as a leader, having that awareness and paying attention, you can say, okay, I'm noticing these gaps. So let me support them so they can understand and have that awareness of themselves so I can move and shift and really develop them effectively. So have that people awareness, know how to fill those gaps, and then definitely have that people EI, that emotional intelligence to understand, read your people, and also help them in building that EQ as well. And then finally, you want to make sure when it comes to recruiting, this all ties into recruiting. This is the fourth reason why you need to really understand and have leadership development so you can build a team. It's because it's going to benefit you when it comes to recruiting. Because say you do have someone that really has major blind spots, maybe this person wasn't a good fit, and you need to really ensure that you're recruiting the right people. You need to have these skills so you can build a team. Recruiting strategies, how to make sure that when you're posting job ads that it's inclusive, how to make sure that you're putting the right verbiage and wording, and making sure that when people come in, you know how to pick and choose the right fit so they can fill those gaps. So that's why it's important to have leadership development, because when building a team, you need to have awareness of people. You need to have that emotional intelligence for yourself and for them so you can fill the gaps. You can support and develop them effectively. And again, you can shift and move people into the right spots based off of their strengths. And also it's going to benefit you in recruiting, because when you're bringing people in your team, you want to make sure you pick the right people for the right role so they can push productivity in that area and really perform effectively. And that's why we need leadership development in this area, because building a team is not just, hey, here's a resume, read it over, I'm hiring, just solely off of your skills and abilities. It's really being able to read the depth of that individual from another perspective, from an EQ perspective, and also really make sure you understand how to play to people's strengths, how to motivate them, how to help them with self-regulation and self-awareness. And then you will have an effective team that will be able to really push that mission and vision that you have. So again, you need to know how to build a team, and that's why you need leadership development, because again, especially with a team, remember, individuals typically don't quit the organization, they typically quit the leader. And that's why you need leadership development. That's why you need these strategies so you can be able to lead a team effectively.